I can no longer sit back and allow communist infiltration, communist indoctrination, communist subversion, and the international communist conspiracy to sap and impurify.
I am the guardian of forever.
Are you afraid of me or just disgusted by my presence?
Before this battle is over, you all will know that few stood against many.
Let's have an equipment check. Weapon? Well, let's keep it simple. You got your boots on, you can walk into combat. Let's go.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Little girl, pull me to the left. Little boy, pull me to the right.
When I give an order, you jump.
Our arrows will blot out the sun.
Then we will fight in the shade.
Hear me? Don't you eyeball.
That we must take our country back in November through the electoral process on behalf of our democracy.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
The Force is with you, young Skywalker.
You are not a Jedi yet.
Absolutely abominable.
How dare the incompetent and willful members of this Bush-Cheney administration humiliate our nation and our people in the eyes of the world and in the conscience of our own people. How dare they subject us to such dishonor and disgrace?
There are some who feel like that, the conditions are such that they can attack us there. My answer is bring them on.
Mr. President, I'm beginning to smell a big fat commie rat. That's the fact, sir!
I can't take this! This is offensive!
What is your major malfunction, numbnut?
You gotta tell them! Silence greed is people!
Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
I can no longer sit back and allow.
All right, brother. How you doing? Welcome.
Namaset. Holy Spirit Namasets.
Holy Spirit Namaset. I want to first point out, which I didn't tell you about, but Brother Chris brought up a gift from little Peg, Sister Peg.
Oh, happy birthday.
And she gave me... There's
happy
one
birthday
too, but here you go.
Happy birthday.
It's Margaret Thatcher. Yeah. So and there's another one too. Another two of them. One's Bush and the other one's Gorbachev. Another one of them I wanted to put up. So, but it's her little gift to me. So yeah, there's that, and welcome, everybody. We have a great show on tap for you today. We're going to be talking about, of course, the big news of last week. One of them being the debate. One of them being some information that John has about the CHEVRON case that the Supreme Court just passed down this last week. Big news, and of course, we're going to keep up on what's going on in the Vatican City. The information coming out of the Vatican City today. So let's get started, shall we? First thing I want to start with, of course, is the land of memes. Now, let me give you the overall what happened at the debate. I want to make sure that you understand what happened at the debate. If you saw it or not, this sums it up in historic detail. Right? Sums it up in case you missed the debate. There you go. That's what happened.
I thought this was a PG show. It's not. Oh well.
It's nature, John.
I thought you were going to go high. That's a good thing we didn't start with Reagan then. All right.
Yeah. No.
Okay,
so then there's this. Then there's this.
This one's better. Guess
my handicap. Speech, memory walking, riding bike, counting, dressing yourself. All the above. We could just say all the above. And of course, this is a reference to the debate, ladies and gentlemen, the golfing discussion that the two of them were having during the debate about Joe having a handicap of, I think it was a 6. And
he claimed an 8 and a 6.
Yeah, yeah. He claimed in '86, and Trump said, "I've seen your swing. It's no 8.
No way.
It's no way. No way. I've seen your swing. You can't even hit the ball 50 yards."
Which is hysterical. That's why
Yeah.
it's the greatest debate in all American history. This will go down as the greatest debate in all of American history for a variety of reasons. That line alone, the fact that they were arguing over who's the best, and that they attempted to assassinate him with that, because Jake Tapper on guard, doing his job to save everything, do everything he can to save Biden. Can't be fast enough, and Dana Bastard can't be fast enough to call Trump childish, right? He calls them childish first.
Right.
He beats them to the punch too. So he did beat. Now we had said last week that this was going to be a debate against Trump versus 3 people, and it really was that. I don't know why.
I would disagree.
You want to say
2.5, maybe no. 2.5.
Now, James, he's literally at one point in the debate, Dana Bastard says, "Ooh, global warming nonsense," right? Instead of, and I'm going to hold this in contrast. Instead of saying, and what Trump should have said, listen, I don't follow your religion. Now, in your religion, do you believe like good old Bill Gates believes that no lives matter and that human beings are the cause for global warming? Is that what you believe? So if that's the case, then we shouldn't have any human beings. So you want to extinct all human beings like Bill Gates? Listen, and by the way, what is the temperature that the Earth is supposed to be warming from? Where's the thermostat, right? I don't follow your religion because this religion leads to this nonsense over here, where you have this progressive religion, this fake religion over here. I don't follow that. And now, instead of that question, how come they didn't ask him the most important news the entire week? And what's the most important news the entire week? The fact that the Monroe Doctrine is now dead, apparently, and at a Russian Navy, including a Russian Navy submarine.
You let it out too soon, brother.
Oh, okay, all right. We'll get to it. But how come? So I disagree with the idea that those 2 debaters did a fair. No. They did everything they can to defeat Trump. It's just that in the gaslighting of America, they've gone too far, and Trump is smarter than them and outsmart them and beat them to the punch. And exactly this way is right before they could get in. Oh, stop being childish, and everybody's going to say him. Trump said to them, "Oh, stop being childish." He won. It was the greatest victory in in professional sports. There is probably. There's probably not a greater victory. Probably not a greater come behind victory, probably not a greater debate performance. This will probably go down as the greatest debate performance ever, because he effectively defeated 3 people at once and remained happy about it.
With a hand tied behind his back.
With one hand tied behind his back, right, as Rush Limbaugh used to say. That's a great Rush.
So before we go any further, I just want to remind everybody, as my brother is wearing one and I am wearing one, you will notice our merch. Welcome to Adolf Biden's Banana Republic is one. I am wearing the Free Trump. We're all felons now. John is wearing I Am the Anomaly. And you can, of course, get the I Prefer Dangerous Freedom over Peaceful Slavery. Get them while you can. There's, I think there's a deal coming up in this week for you to purchase them on sale. It's coming up, I think, for July 4th. Usually they have one for July 4th. So make sure you check it out while you can. And let's, of course, not forget, John, we still have the Wheel of Names. So let's not forget that little piece of fun.
When are you going to make that T-shirt?
Yeah, it's not a bad shirt to make. We'll see.
So when are you gonna? What's the schedule? I mean, you just want to talk to debate, or you want to? Because I got.
Well, we can start with the debate, but you want to actually? Right. We should probably start with your Reagan comment.
Reagan,
right? You already kind of spilled the beans.
This is the way. Now, this is if we weren't in such a dysfunctional world, this is the way the debate should have gone. Something like right.
Right. This is with the moderators as well. Moderators here are actual moderators and not working for one side.
I don't see anything. James, I'm not seeing anything.
Are you not here? Oh, you know why? You know why? I see why. I apologize. Let me rekey that up. Here we go.
There's an issue that I think has been lurking out there for 2 or 3 weeks and cast it specifically in national security terms. You already are the oldest president in history, and some of your staff say you were tired after your most recent encounter with Mr. Mondale. I recall yet that President Kennedy had to go for days on end with very little sleep during the Cuba Missile Crisis. Is there any doubt in your mind that you would be able to function in such circumstances?
Not at all, Mr. Truitt, and I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
And you gotta look, like Mondale's even laughing because Mondale was a gentleman, right? Reagan was a gentleman. Mondale was a gentleman. The moderator back then. It's so sad that we've degenerated to this level because of the religion of power and of evil on the other side, right? It's so sad, right? But that's the way you would have handled it. That's the way it should have been handled. And now that's a key point, though, and why I asked that to be played is because what's the big news this week? The big news this week is apparently after 200 plus years, the Monroe Doctrine, is no longer in effect.
Joe, what's the Monroe Doctrine?
The idea was that in the Western Hemisphere, the Western Hemisphere will be an American hemisphere. We're not going to allow foreign entities like at that time it was Britain, but then it would later become Spain, right, interfere in America. We're going to let America, the new world, grow. And they say, oh, it's colonial America. No, because we didn't go down there and colonialize anybody, right? Well, we did a little bit, but not a lot. But, I guess, but what we're trying to do is bring freedom to the rest of the world. And we were in the new world, and we want the new world to be free. And so you came up with the idea of the Monroe Doctrine. And we didn't have a lot of power to enforce it. But when we did have power, right. And so that's why the closest time to nuclear extinction we've ever gotten, the biggest event, and probably one of the biggest events in the last 100 years in presidential history, of course, is the Cuba Missile Crisis, which was done for a lot less than what's going on today down in Cuba today. There is a flotilla, a Russian fleet with frigates and tugboats and a Russian submarine potentially armed with nuclear weapons 90 miles off of the state of Florida. Nuclear weapons and 90 miles. We won't have time to respond. They could bomb us at any time like that. And that is apparently okay. That apparently because of course the gaslighting of America and the fact that we now know nobody's in charge. At least Obama's in charge and the creeps are in charge, and that the fake media will do everything they can to disperse it. Now, interesting story. What was the significance of that back then? Well, we actually have a person in history who told us. I don't remember if you know of Uncle Billy's history. When Uncle Billy when Uncle Billy was in the Air Force, he was an airman. He was the best airman he could be. He was literally on the cover of the Airman magazine with his M16 and his K9. At one time, he was guarding a SAC base out there in Nevada, and during the event, he said they didn't actually know what was going on exactly. All they knew was the entire base was locked down. And he said, we didn't know this till afterwards. He didn't learn any of this afterwards. But they were locked down. And he'd never seen the tenseness that he saw. He said, I saw 40-year-old grown men crying because these were the SAC bombers. They were going to destroy the world, right? They were serious. We were loaded up and ready to destroy the world. That almost happened, right? And then, of course, then he says, the crisis averted, and everybody said, where were you guys? It's like, you don't understand. We were ready to destroy the world. There were SAC bomber captains that were crying because they were going to destroy the world, never see their family again. Right? That's not. Now that level of an incident is occurring right now in Cuba, and yet what do we hear? Nothing, right? Why? Well, because it's the gaslighting of America, right? The gaslighting of America, thanks to the evil, they're now evil Democrat Party and the evil press dedicated to power and nothing else. That's all they are. It was exposed during this debate. How come nobody asked a question about that? Because that would look bad by Jake Tapehead, Tapeworm,
Crapper, John.
Crapper,
Jake Crapper.
Right. The parasite press, that would look bad for their guy, by who they did everything they can to save. It just didn't work out that way. They did everything they could save. There's only so much you can do, though, right?
Yeah.
That's actually the biggest news this week. The fact that they're down there and nobody says anything about it.
There's a frigate going into Havana Harbor, John.
Right, with a nuclear. More important than that is the nuclear-armed submarine, and they're trying to spin it. It's like, oh, now we know what the nuclear-armed submarine class sounds like. Well, we knew that before because we've actually mic'd up the entire North Atlantic by all the Russian seaports. We knew exactly what it sounded before. Are you kidding me? That's a lie. What they need to do is knucklehead Chip. I mean, I like Chip Roy in some ways, but I don't like him in other ways. He wants to pass a resolution for Kamala, I'm sorry, it's Kamala Harris, rhymes with commie, to enable her to enact the 25th Amendment. Sometimes it's better just to let your enemies destroy themselves. But what they should be doing is, Jeff, good old, who's the guy with no shirts? Remember, no suit?
Jim Jordan.
Jim Jordan's got nothing to do, better to do. Why don't they start having hearings and holding that do nothing Blinken and say, wait a minute, how come you all know that he's not in charge? Who's in charge? I would go through all the cabinet. I want to know who's in charge because it's obviously not the guy we just saw. That's what they should do with the potential stick of impeaching them. Or not answering subpoenas. And you know who else I would? You know who else I would do? I don't know if you want to hit the other kid. You know who else I would haul in front of that commission there by good old Jim Jordan? And maybe you can ask him to get a coat, or ask him if the guy can show up with a coat he could borrow. You know who else? Good old master of the gaslighter himself, Obama, right? Because somebody has been pulling the strings for this meat puppet that's been pretending to be our president.
There's only two possibilities, David. One is that he's doing it because he thinks, oh, okay, I already tried, and he's super stubborn. The dementia is set in. There's nothing we could do. We can't force him out because he's the president, and he's got all the delegates. Oh, so all right, let's try to win this thing with a ship that's definitely going to sink, but I'll be a team player. That's option one. Option two is doing the duct tape so they can come up with a plan, because they're not going to come up with a plan to drop out in half a day, right? But then, hey, in a week or 2 weeks or 3 days, they all come out and go, well, you know what? Even though we had it, I mean, Obama told you we had it. Everybody said we were definitely going to win, but you know what? Joe Biden's so magnanimous that he's going to drop out anyway because he doesn't want to take any percentage chance that Trump might win, right? I'm hoping against hope that that's what they're going to do. That is the logical thing to do, in which case that would explain what Obama's doing in a rational way. But if it's not, and they're just trying to make us, they sent in Obama to be the master gaslighter. Okay, all it does is drag Obama down with Biden. Now, but I did want to go back to Jill Biden. That was the most cringe thing that anybody's ever seen. So they say, oh, don't worry, Joe's fine. Meanwhile, Joe's standing up there like this after the debate, and Jill Biden's the only one speaking, and she's like, you did good, Joe. You answered all the questions like a good kid. What are we doing? And guys, I want you to think about this. She knows. It's not like this is a surprise to her. You think this is the first time Biden has acted like that? That he's forgotten half the things he was going to say, mumbling, totally unaware of what's happening. No, Jill Biden has known all along. Everybody that works at the White House has known all along. Everybody at the DNC, they all know. They've been trying to hide reality from us. Reality slipped out last night. They're trying to put it back, put that genie back in the bottle. Meanwhile, Jill Biden is rolling this guy out, going, go, I want to get back in power. Okay, hey, Dr. Jill Biden, if you'd like to be president, why don't you run?
So, brother,
now
I'm just going to say, go ahead. You say your line first.
You say, okay. I just say, first of all, it's Dr. Jill, and she is a doctor. That's why she knows best. Go ahead.
My point is, this individual has known all along, exactly. There it is. Has known all along what has been going on with Biden. He knew it 4 years ago when Biden was running in 2020. He knew it in 2021. He knew it in 2022. He knew it in 2023. And yes, he knows it in 2024 before the debate.
Exactly. So, they knew back then because remember they said he was going to be a one-term president and he was going to set up the stage for Kamali. Remember they said that at the very beginning.
That's exactly right. And all of this talk that we're surprised, it's bullcrap. It's just bullcrap. It's a lie. It's just a lie. Straight up lie.
That's your lie from Casablanca that you love so much. I'm shocked. There's gambling going on in here, right?
I'm shocked. Yeah, it's his line. He's using it. This individual. I mean, I want to call him so many bad names right now, but
no, at least he's telling the truth.
It's not just him though. It's all of them. Obama, Kamala, all of them know the quality of Joe's brain. And they know how deficient
this is. But this is gaslighting. It's been 4 years of gaslighting, and the gaslighting is continuing, and it's continuing in this way too. Is they want to make it about, oh look, it's Joe not being competent now. No, it's not that Joe's not incompetent now. Because it's that their Democrats are incompetent now. It's their incompetence, and they keep gaslighting America. Oh, and for example, if you want to get into particulars of the debate, it's perfect. It's perfect. The idea that Trump's 3% inflation, 0 wars in 70 years, first time in 60 since the 1960s, then the middle class grew, put money in the middle class. First time, not even Reagan could do that. And he deregulated and he made America energy independent. All those great things, all chucked by this idiot, by this nitwit and these nitwits, because all they care about is giving money to their friends and killing the American middle class because they hate us, right? They hate us. But go ahead, go on with your.
I wanted to start with something about two things. I'm going to make a point here. Point one: if you look at this right here, and I'm going to see if I can't make it the whole screen here, but this part right here, for his part in the debate, Trump made this is the reporting from Reuters. All right, this is Reuters, and I pull it back. You can see Reuters.com. This is their comment about Trump in the debate. For his part in the debate, Trump made a series of well-worn falsehoods, including claims that migrants have carried out a crime wave, that Democrats support infanticide, and that he actually won the 2020 election. Well, first off, they do, because we know that they do. The governor who Youngkin replaced, Mr. Blackface, right? He was telling people that he was willing to have the baby born. Yeah, Northam was willing to have the baby born, and we can decide what we do with the baby then.
Right. And why was he making that argument? Because he was supporting third-term partial birth abortion, which is you take a drill, you drill through the baby's skull as the baby is in the canal, you suck it out, you drill it, you suck it out, and then maybe you put in there a chopper, you chop up the baby's body. I don't care if it happens 1%, I don't care if it happens 10%. If it happens one time, a murder of a baby like that, that's one time too many, right? Right. And he was defending that by saying, oh, yeah, what we need to do is even go beyond that. Good governor, blackface, pointy hood, Ku Klux Klan governor, Northam.
But brother,
and he was right.
what they
That's
should
not a lie. That's a lie by them and their fake fact tracking.
yes, but what they should have been reporting on is here's news that you won't hear anywhere.
I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad.
Just real quick,
right now,
before they cut out, just a little bit of like how they're playing favoritism. Biden's looking down. I was watching, I don't know, maybe it was Van Jones, but somebody on the Democrat side was like, they gave him, he's looking down. That's not what you do when your opponent's speaking. You do what Trump did. When Biden was speaking, Trump looked straight at the camera. He looked straight forward. He didn't flinch. He listened, and he responded. This guy got his head down. Well, but you know what I understand. When I say flinch, he didn't go, you're a lying sack of garbage. He didn't do any of that. He kept his composure and maintained himself. This clown, this dementia-ridden individual, facing head down, he's had his head down for a good bit of the debate. Just so I'll let this finish out.
America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a serious.
And they cut out from Biden, who is clearly looking like a failing, doddering old fool. To protect his image, they cut out and put Trump full screen.
Failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad.
Yep.
His military policies are.
They can't even put him on the same screen with them. You see that? They had to go back to this. Why you jump? That's not what you do when you have a live shot. You don't jump like that. That's wrong.
Yeah, why don't you do the split screen? Right?
Yeah, why don't you have the split screen? And why don't you have the big image? When you have the big image of both of them standing there, Biden still looks like he's ready to walk off the stage or poop himself. That's why. That's what they're covering up for.
Insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him.
So my point also, my large point is there's Trump being magnanimous, wishing that Biden was a good, great president. He said great president. He wished that and he said, I wouldn't be here if he was a great president. That's news, folks. That's news. You mean Trump, the hater, the guy that they all talk about being the hater, all of a sudden, now he's like, how come that's not on every news channel in the morning, every morning news? That should have been on the morning news. Trump is saying that he wishes he's being magnanimous, being a good guy. You won't hear that. Instead, Trump's a liar, all these falsehoods. He's repeating this, he's repeating that. I'm surprised they didn't bring up Charlottesville or Russia.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Right? Is that how you leave the next one? Oh, yeah, what? What's this? Do a dice. Do a Mark dice. What?
Yeah.
What's this?
I don't have it prepared. I wish I did. You're right.
You had your Mark dice moment and you lost it.
Yeah, I lost it. But so that's
because they did bring up the lie. They did bring up the lie. I thought they were going to get that one. That's one of the biggest ones too. Because in it, of course, just to refresh your recollection. Okay, go ahead. Hit it.
I gotta find it.
All right, so I'll talk a little bit. Just to refresh your recollection, one of the things to undermine the Trump presidency was allowing BLM and Antifa off the hook to let them burn down American cities. Before that got off to the hook totally, they were pulling down monuments, right? And there was a dispute in Charlottesville about a Civil War monument, and there were some people saying that's historical, we shouldn't destroy history, and there were some people they were showing up. The fake Patriot Front showed up. That's who these idiots with the tiki torches are. The Patriot Front are a bunch of FBI asses dressing up in khakis and IZOG shirts, pretending to be Republicans, so that they can try and excuse their their misuse of American funds and taxpayer funds to persecute American citizens who are on the right. So these idiots show up with tiki torques, and then this causes this becomes this becomes Biden's cause celeb for why he wanted to go in become president again, right? Not the fact that he's got to cover up the millions of dollars that him and his grifter degenerate family has made from selling out his offices of state to the Chinese, the Russians, Ukrainians, Romanians, and I'm missing somebody. But whatever the proof of the money people gave him money. But that was to set it up. Go ahead, hit it.
Yeah, I gotta go take care of something.
Oh, okay.
But
all right. Well, then I'll say. Well, the reason why it's such a and it gives you proof again of the gives you proof again mendacity of the press and the gaslighting of the press is that Jake Tapeworm is actually one of the few leftists, because this has played out for the last 4 whole years, and in the 4 years it played out that Jake Tapeworm, somebody, on the right, at least people are saying, well, wait a minute, you're taking Trump out of context. Trump says, there are good people on both sides of the issue, and he was referring, of course, to the people who want, for historical reasons, to keep the monuments, and not to the neo-Nazis and the right-wing radical groups or extremists that were there. And he literally says that in the next rest of his mouth. Now he speaks linearly, non-linearly, meaning, if you're linearly, you go from A to B to C to D and E and F. And if you speak non-linearly, you kind of skip around. You do G, you do A, you do C. You skip around like that. And that's just creative people often do that. And so he just speaks like that. But it was, if you so they basically take something out of context and say that Trump is a neo-Nazi and he's all for the neo-Nazis. Well, if he's for the neo-Nazis, he's the worst neo-Nazi there ever was, of course, because his grandchildren are Jews, and of course the Nazis don't like the Jews. His daughter, his favorite daughter, well, I can't say his favorite, but his daughter Ivanka later, converted to Judaism, and of course married a Jewish guy, and of course he's the only one that supported Israel to the degree that he moved the embassy to Jerusalem, which everybody said, oh, you can't do, and every president promised to do, and no president ever did before him. And he's also the only one that cut all the money to the Palestinians and was creating peace in the Middle East, and had 5 countries sign on along with Egypt originally. So with the Middle East, Egypt goes to peace with Israel, and that was the only one for 4 decades. And then Trump gets 4 more for 5 countries, was almost got Saudi Arabia to sign in for it, defunded Hamas, Hezbollah, defunded giving the Palestinians any money, defunded the Iranians giving any money, so they couldn't kill Jews, made America independent, so he dropped the money for the evil Iranians. So if Trump was for 4 years, if Trump was a neo-Nazi, he's the worst neo-Nazi in human history, because all he did was save the Jews, because of course they were his children, right? And so anyway, Jake Tapeworm knew this and is actually in one of his shows going, well, wait a minute. And yet he remains silent all throughout this exchange. He doesn't fact check the liar in chief, the dementia in chief liar. He just pulls more gaslighting. So good old Obama might be the master of gaslighter. One of his little acolytes, like whatever that stupid Star Wars, is good old Jake Tapeworm. Because if you want to play it, you can play it now.
Well, I was going to go on to the next. No, I can play that if you want.
Well, I just went over it.
Well, I have this part right here.
All right, just go on then.
What do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility.
Why is Biden touching his ear?
Uh-oh, you catch him? Are you catching his mic down? Is the mic down?
Yeah, he was just touching his ear, see?
Uh-oh. Wait, are you saying this is a soft cue then?
saying, "Oh no, it's my responsibility. I was
don't know.
responsible for this," because I offered her.
So you're going with the soft coup theory, right? You're saying this was all set up.
In right.
I'm not saying that at all. I think that it's odd that the man who has, probably. I just think it's odd that he's touching his ear that way. Maybe
Are you
it's something
saying
that's wrong.
the answers are being radioed into his head, and that's what he's been doing for the last 4 years, and that somebody
I am noticing his head's down again.
So he's listening to what he's supposed to be saying next in response?
They turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said,
well,
take full
responsibility
for January 6th.
There it is.
He's got a better answer to this. And what he should be saying is, listen, of course I'm going to support the January 6th people. And there's a really good reason why. Because it's their apps, they own that building. It's theirs, right? They have a right to petition their government. It's in the First Amendment. You don't like it, too bad. Sorry, Jake, get out of the country, okay? You're not American anyway. Get out. There's plenty of nice immigrants who love freedom who want to come here. You can leave, right? So listen, same thing with this is always been my point with when it was Occupy, when it was the Tea Party occupying the center around Center City, Philadelphia, or when the next few years it was Occupy them. They have an absolute right. I salute them for caring so much to coming out. The only difference is the amount of patchouli smell, in the air, right? Right. And just like with January 6th, or with the burning down 30 American cities and killing 30 people. Now that's going too far. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be okay for peaceful assembly and for peaceful, demonstrations. But he should defend them.
He did make the point that in many cases, these people were ushered into the building by the police.
Because it was a insurrection. It wasn't an insurrection. What he should have said, since that's not, you have to ask me about being dictator. You got to ask this guy over here about being the dictator. Because this is one of the first times in American history where the political party is being prosecuted because they're going against him right now. So who you should be asking about whether they're going to leave the office is this guy over there. Because right now he's persecuting me with fake charges. Charges, not in one, but in 4 different jurisdictions. 5 actually. If you count all the civil stuff, it's probably 6 cases. Now, are you going to say anything about that? Are you going to say anything about that, Jake Tapeworm? Because that's what you should be. Are you going to ask him if he's going to leave the White House? Because he's actually, now listen, this is what dictators do. Go look at your buddy Putin, right? What does Putin do? Putin's got a rival. What does he do? He charges him, puts him in jail for 5 years. Then what does he do? Puts him in jail for 19. He ups it. He doubles down. He puts him in jail and charges him again for 19 years. So then what does he do? He triples down. Then he kills him in jail, right? Right now, they're going to lock me up in a couple of days because I'm going against this clown over here. Are you going to ask him about that? Why don't you ask him about the weaponization of the DOJ and all those poor guys sitting in jail for basically trespassing when they didn't lock up anybody for murdering 30 people.
I didn't catch that in any of the questions. I didn't catch any of what you just said in any of their questions to Biden, John. But I think that's a very good point. If you notice the tone of the questions, they were not, and again, they didn't interrupt Trump. They didn't try to go do the, BS fact checking on Trump, but they also didn't do it on Biden. They should have. I think
they had a script. I think they had a script that they had to stick to. Because Biden is so weak, they didn't want to distract him.
Well, they saved him a couple times, Sean. They saved him a couple times. They did. Yeah. Here's a clip.
There's a lot of young women being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters. It's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
See? Rescue. That was what we call a rescue in the business.
How come they'll ask him a follow-up question? Are you saying brothers are you saying brothers are raping their sisters?
Are you saying
I can't do
sisters
anything
are
about
raping
it.
their sisters? Are you saying
Right.
sisters are raping their sisters?
It's not good out there. It's not good out there, brother.
And here you go.
By the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back.
That's the migrant crime wave that he's talking about.
Yeah, so where's the fact checkers on that, right?
Happening, which is really happening.
Back with the states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back.
There we go. It's just. I mean, it's so. Where is this dementia? This dementia that you're surprised. This woman. He's talking about women raping women, sisters raping sisters, and making the case. Women raping women. I'm going to make his case, John. I'm going to make his case right now. You ready? This is his point. Because there's so many guys identifying as women, that's what he's talking about. His policy of transgender.
So that's how he's defending his abortion, right?
That's why he's defending abortion, because of his policy on transgenderism, which allows men, rapists, to go and claim that they are women and go into the ladies' locker room and rape them. That's what it is. That's got to be it. Or go to jail and claim that they're women and be locked up with the fellow women prisoners and get a woman prisoner, an actual woman, pregnant. That's what he's talking about, brother. No wonder why he wants to keep abortion. I get it now. I get it.
Right. Ahmed's razor would say that no, he's lost the train of thought that the people speaking in his ear are saying, or it's dementia that's taking over. And even though they had a week to prepare him, even though they drugged him up, in the second part of the debate, right? Even though they went through it over and over and over and rehearsed all these, even though there's a script, I'll guarantee you, the Jake Tapeworm and stuff gave them beforehand so that they could repeat these back. And he had it all, and all he had to do was repeat the words that somebody else has already written out for him. He still blew it because he's so far gone. Still full. So are we going to game this out? You want to talk about gaming this out now?
Well, I want to do you wanted to do the alley cat.
All right.
Let me play that. I'm going to fast forward this just to. Do you want this part of it, or do you want me to just jump to Biden?
Just do the alley cats. Yeah, just do the alley cat.
Look at that look. You see the look on his? Oh, you can't see it. Here it is.
No.
Can you look at that look, brother? That's a meme.
Who's been president all these years? Barack Obama.
You a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous.
Wait! I just caught it, John. No, he said he said relative to what you're talking about. So in other words, there's a whole bunch of stuff I did, but it's not what you're talking about.
Lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president.
How about the presidents who do it, like you?
Crimes you are still charged with. And think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, or doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
So,
yeah,
you did. You did shower with your daughter, right?
Right.
You did walk around the pool naked in front of the Secret Service agent, right? You do know that people know you're the sniffer in chief because you find a little girl and you sniff her, right? You do know that, right? Mr. Alley Cat Morals. You know what the old man, you know what our old man used to say, right?
What?
Sounds like the pot is calling the kettle black on that one.
Yeah, well, first of all, what's wrong with alley cats, right? And I don't know why, what did alley cat ever do to this degenerate? And so that's the thing too. Is later on in debate, Trump, it slips in there, and you didn't get it because it's a time. Trump says, "I just have too big of a heart," and it's the truth. Between these two guys, this is the gaslighting of America, right? Trump is very moral. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't drink. He doesn't gamble, right? He doesn't, you say he cheated on his wife. Okay. So, all right. That's happened. Okay. This guy next to him. Not only did he cheat there was a good old Dr. Jill was married to somebody, and he talked her into cheating. Okay. Yep. So let's go on with that though. And he makes all as the greatest line ever too is all my ex-wives love me. Right? He sets them up as billionaires. Okay. So if he does have too big of a heart, it's like he does like pretty women. He says, okay, whatever's got him into trouble for that. That's it. What does he not do? He does not lie. He's a business guy. He just doesn't lie, right? There's a huge difference being braggadocious. Oh, it's the greatest, most ever, and lie. Anybody who tells you different is a liar themselves, right? And now compare that to the degenerate, the Bidens, right? They are a degenerate family. He's been a parasite on America for the last 50 years. He's never worked his entire life. All him and his family have stolen money to give to their buddies. But that's what they do when they have $4 trillion coming in. Now, Joe Biden, you have only $4 trillion in, and you spend $6 trillion. And you take that $2 trillion, and that gives you a twofer because you get to destroy the American middle class by creating inflation, and you get to give it out to your buddies, right? So he's always been handing out money to his buddies, right? So he can get kickbacks, and he's been selling out America to the foreigners, to the Chinese, to the freaking Russians. Right now, it is a fact that you can be convicted of bribery if your family members take money from, and you're a government official, and your family members take money from somebody who's interested, right? Look at the Menendez, right? Look at the Menendez. Why don't you give the money to Mr. Menendez, to Senator Menendez? Because you give it to his wife, right? That's still bribery. It's still under all the bribery statutes. It's still considered bribery because it's a time dishonored way of way people pay off and corrupt public officials. So only a corrupt public official like Judge Merchant or a corrupt public official like good old Biden, President Biden, has the mayor of Moscow give $3 million or $30 million to his wife, who then gives it to Hunter Biden, who then gives it to the rest of the Biden crime family, right? This guy has been a corrupt politician for the last 50 years. Not only that, he's a degenerate, as you pointed out. He's taking showers with his daughter Ashley at some age. This causes her sexual addiction. He has not one but maybe 3 or 4 actual credible allegations of rape and sexual assault. Tara Reid actually filed a criminal complaint when she was his aide, when she was one of his aides, filed an actual appropriate complaint, told her mother, told all her family members, told everybody, and nothing was done about it way back when he pushed her up against a wall and digitally raped her, right? Now, that happened, and yet this degenerate is up there calling Trump the morals of an alley cat, right? Now, the gaslighting of America is that nobody ever asks good old Biden this. Nobody asks them. The fake press does everything they can to suppress all of this information. All of it. And they've done it for the last 50 years because all they care about is their evil power. That's all they care about is their evil power and destroying the American class. Because these elites, they look at it, it's their duty to tell us how to live our lives, right? But not only that, it's their divine right to look down on us and make fun of us and to destroy
John,
our
you're
lives.
not capable. You're not capable of making those decisions. You need somebody to make them for you.
You need Jake Tapeworm and his buddies, these idiots, these dupes, to tell us how to live our lives. Jake the Crapper, right? So, do you want to go on to the next thing, or
I have? Yes.
Let's game it. Let's game it. So, what is this? So is this the soft coup? So the theory is this. One theory is this.
Before we go on, I do want to I just want to like play this clip. Can I play this clip?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. All he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it.
I had to play it because it's just like the greatest line of the night. It is the line of the night. No matter what you say, it is Trump's greatest line in any of his debates. I don't know what he just said. I don't think he knows what he said.
Yeah. Well, the beating of the Medicare, beating Medicaid to death was pretty sharp. That was pretty good.
I have that. I do have that one too.
Yeah, do that one. That will go down as probably the greatest.
I'm going to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with.
Trump. Look at Trump.
If we finally beat Medicare.
Look at Trump.
Thank you, President Biden.
See,
well, he's right. He did.
They just saved him, right? They just saved him.
Jake tried to save him, right?
Yeah. That's the save right there.
Trump.
Well, he's right.
Here we go.
We finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President.
Thank you, President Biden. What? Why would you respond like that?
Why'd you cut him off like that, right?
Yeah,
let him
cut him off? Why didn't you say?
Because he's off script.
You have another 60 seconds left in your response. Are you sure you don't want to tell us more about what you beat?
Yeah. Did you really mean something else like COVID?
Yeah. Here's Trump.
President Trump.
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security.
Get off Joe.
Right. There you go. That's probably the greatest comeback of all time.
He's going to single-handedly destroy.
And now, this is early in the debate. As I recollect, this is early in the debate. Somebody said to the guy in charge of the camera, get that off the screen. Stop showing Biden looking feeble. You're going off script. Stop being a good journalist and start being one of our journalists.
So, James, the idea is that a soft coup is in place.
Go ahead, just scheme it out.
So the idea is a soft coup is in place. And the idea is this. Well, Biden was back when they were originally running, all the candidates were running. Nobody was actually getting ahead, but they were afraid that the radical end of the party was going to take over again, right? And so they wanted to stop that. And so just like when good old Bernie sold out, right, to Hillary Clinton, because that's what he did, right? He sold out again to the party, so they were going to have to pick somebody. Well, who were they going to pick? The problem with Kami is that she was so unlikable, and she got the crap kicked out of her by Tulsi Gabbard, right? And so they finally anointed Biden, Biden. With the idea is he's going to be the puppet head for Obama, right? Because he's stupid. They're going to put Obama's people in there. They're going to put a third term for Obama, right? And then he was going to step aside, and by then Kamala would have figured things out, or they'll figure something else out, right? For a fourth term for Obama. Right, because he famously caught on tape saying, I really wish I could be president, but like talking to somebody's ear and not telling. He's actually said that, right? And so that literally happened. But the problem is this, evil is evil, and evil believes its own bullshit. He actually thinks good old Biden thinks that he's that great of a president, and he's not going to leave, right? And good old Jill loves all the perks, right? So you can't tell a president to step down. So the one theory is that we've never had a presidential election debate this early, ever. You only have them after debates, after the primaries and the conventions. The conventions come in July and August, then in the actual campaign season in September and October, that's when you have the debates. You never have 1-2 months beforehand. But the idea is that they tricked Obama. Obama tricked Biden forces into having the debate early by saying to him, "Well, he's fading quick. You got to get him out there now, right?" Because so they say, and so they tricked him into saying, and to Trump, because Trump is a negotiator. He's one of the greatest negotiators of all time, right? And he is a business guy. And he goes, okay, that's a weakness. And he jumped right on it, right? He goes, listen, I'll take all three on. And he did. And I'll beat all three. And he did, right? Right? Now, they still expect the gaslighting of America to go on, because it has been going on, because all they talk about is Biden, and not the fact that we've been gaslit for 4 years, and that all of this chaos is Obama's fault and Biden's fault. The fact, and none of it is fact checked. Listen, it was 14 months in before inflation kicked up. Why? Well, because Trump's economy was so amazing. He got the 3% that Obama never could. America was coming back. He had tariffs. He had money coming in. He had debt potentially getting paid down. But more important, he had energy independence, and that meant the economy and industry was taking off, right? And so the inflation didn't kick off until 14 months in, and then it went to 25%. That's all the Democrats' fault. All the chaos on the streets from the massive immigration, 30 million people into this country, all the Democrats' fault, right? Afghanistan, and he lies in there and says 13 Americans didn't die. Nobody died under my watch. 13 Americans died, and we're supposed to forget the fact that it was the most, and Trump was right on this, it's the most disgraceful moment in American history. We have poor people falling off the airplane wheels, falling off of them from the sky as they try and get out from the collapse of Afghanistan, all because that creep wanted to do it as a political prop on 9/11 and wanted to get out early, right? On the 20-year anniversary of 9/11, all because he was an idiot and did it in such a horrific way, right? And where is the news reporters going to those 13 families who have lost family members and the 39 other people that were horribly maimed, American heroes who were horribly maimed by that, and saying, how do you feel, Mom, that your child is being forgotten by this so-called commander in chief, this clown who was going on the news and lie? How come they're not doing that, right? They won't do that because the gaslighting of America has to continue, right? And that's what the press is going to do. It's going to continue to do. So he supposedly this weekend, he's supposedly in Camp David with his family, deciding whether he's going to continue to run. Now, he can be told all he wants by Obama to step down. The problem is he's president, right?
Right.
He's president, and he doesn't have to. And he goes, "Oh, I'm not, right? I think I can beat this guy, right?" And what are you going to do? You can't remove him because he's got all the power now. So what we see is this attempt to remove him. They have 6 weeks to convention. The other reason why we know it's a soft coup is because they've never put a convention this late. It's literally, I don't think they've had it's literally the last week in August, right? They have 6 weeks to get him to convince to step down. Now, the problem, though, is this. He's so corrupt. He needs the power of pardon. He needs the power of pardon so that he can pardon his son, Hunter, and not for the fake gun charges, which I would defend him on, or the fake even tax charges, because I don't even believe in income tax. What it is the payoffs that he got that he didn't declare, right? And the acting as an unregistered government agent for these 20-some shell companies that
Right.
all these foreign governments have funneled anywhere from $20 million to $1 billion from the Chinese and the Russians and the Romanians to Hunter, who he then distributes to the big guy, aka Joe Biden, and the rest of his degenerate brothers, right? And so he needs the power of pardon. So he needs to hold on as president. So they're trying to say to him some deal is like, oh, you'll still be president until January 20th. But wait a minute. Why? Because he should be president. He's totally incompetent right now, right? And so the idea was, and who was at the spin room? Of course, Governor Nitwit. Now, interesting enough, I don't know if you saw this, but it's been floated from a particular operative, and I'll tell you who in a minute, that Governor Whitmer, the Michigan governor, this horrible tyrant, this pathological liar. And so they need a pathological liar to replace the pathological liar that now has dementia, right? So they continue the gaslighting of America. Well, there are a short number of pathological liars, but they are available. Gavin Newsom is a pathological liar, right? Right. Liz Whitman is a what?
It's a long list. It's not a short.
It's a long list, right? It's a long list, right? Well, one of them though is this beautiful news report that Whitman was sending her people down to feel around to the head of the Democrat Party's members in Washington D.C. But you know who leaked that? Actually, was one of the members of the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Yeah.
So the devil is still out there, ready. The Antichrist is still out there, ready to seize power at the delegates. Now, there's a problem, as you noted. You want to talk about the 3 states that do have a problem with moving.
Nevada, I think it's Nevada,
Georgia,
and
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, yeah. Though they're not allowing they won't allow there to be a change in the person running for the Democrats or for any party unless there's some kind of, there's different rules in each of them, but it basically comes down to the 25th Amendment, some type of criminal death, and I think there's criminal mischief or something like that.
It depends on state to state, but this has actually been litigated a lot because you have this case a lot of times where you have one side losing, so they want to put up another puppet head who wasn't elected or going through their actual primary processes. So a lot of the states have rules to say, like Georgia's rule is you can leave. No, he stays on the ballot. He stays on the ballot. So you vote for him, but he's not the president anymore, right? And so that would cause a problem, right? But he still can turn over all his delegates. And listen, I like it's been said, I live in the state of Pennsylvania. All the shenanigans going on here, they extended, election day for 10 days. They violated every rule under the sun. Who's to say that's not going to happen again? They stole one election. Who's to say they're not going to be able to steal another election, right?
They did it in New Jersey with Torricelli. They put Lautenberg in. I mean,
right. So
the Supreme Court of the state, New Jersey, said it was
to the Republicans. That would be a blocking bar, but not to the Democrats, right? It's just not going to be that. So there is a full-on soft coup going on right now. And that's so. What's our response? Well, one response would be, don't let your don't help, don't stop your enemies from destroying themselves, right? But there's a consequence to this, and one of the consequences is going to be that Trump is in front of that judge, that corrupt judge Merchant. He's completely corrupt because his family's gotten, his sister's gotten, his daughter's gotten millions of dollars from the Democrat Party. That's going to happen like the week before the July 12th or 17th week of July 17th, I think, for the Republican convention. They're going to lock up Trump then because now they have to, right? They're going to lock up Trump. Then, and they're going to stop him from campaigning for for the next 5 weeks or so, 6 weeks or so, 5 weeks or so to the from the August convention. Because listen, I don't think Dr. Jill, who's a doctor by the way, she's going to come out and say, well, I'm a doctor and I say he's okay, right? She's a doctor. We got to listen to the doctor, and so they're going to keep him in place, and Kamala. Is why that's another one. She's fought she's had a lot of sex to get where she's gone. She's had to do some pretty unpleasant things to get where she is. Why the hell is she going to turn her back on all that effort?
Well, she's not. But the problem is, and this, is let's say that Cenk is right, and in several weeks, Biden convinces Biden to say, give it up, and Biden gives it up. And so they go into the convention. It's an open convention. He's released the delegates. Who do you think is the character that's going to, what do you think is going to be the outcome? Because I have my suspicions.
What's your suspicion?
By the way, so my suspicion is that whoever it is, Hillary is going to be the vice president nominee.
Right.
She's not going to try to be the president. Right. She's going to be she wants to put somebody up there that she's reliable. And so I'm thinking down the list, Gavin Newsom, you should be very careful because California has a lot of criminals and there's a lot of bad things that happen to people in California. I'm just saying, I'm not suggesting it, but
if he gets in the way,
Pelosi's husband did get attacked by some crazy lunatic. and wearing pink pajamas or something.
Crime's very high in California
Very
now,
high.
right? If somebody
Very
gets
high
in the
in
way, if somebody gets in her way and he's in the way, oh, it's not good for him, right? Right. That's right.
And Kami Kamala is from California as well, so she should be careful too if she gets.
But
put
she's
up
got,
in front of the
she
ticket.
does have protective. She's got Secret Service protection though, so she might be the only
will
one
Gavin.
that quote. She might be the only one that quote survives a
Right.
Democratic convention.
She might survive.
She might be the only one. She might be the nominee only because with the Secret Service protection, she's the only one that can survive long enough.
Right. And we will all of a sudden, at some point, when she is the nominee for vice president, you are going to find out that actually President Trump was right. After they become president, that Trump was right because there is a migrant crisis within our country, a migrant crime crisis, because whoever is at the top of the ticket might not make it past January 21st.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's the migrant. Because the migrants attacks.
Right.
I'm just saying, John. That's my suspicion. Yeah, you never know. You just never
might
know.
play out.
But
It might play out that way.
I would, if I was anybody who was going to be the head of the ticket, the one person I wouldn't want as vice president, which I got to give Obama credit, he knew better. He knew better than to put her as the vice president. Put her as Secretary of State. She's down the list more. She's gonna have too much to do. Too many people.
Too many people to kill.
Too many people to get rid of. There's no one who's going to be Epstein now. I can't Epstein that many people.
Right.
So I just think that's like don't put Hillary as your whoever it is. Words of advice. Hope you live a long life, make America successful. But you're not. But I hope you do. Don't put Hillary as your vice president. That's the word from beating the Matrix.
My prediction is that they are going to lock up Trump and that they are going to spend the next 6 weeks trying to convince Biden to step down. He's going to, right? He's going to say he's going to release his delegates and stay in power so that he can do his pardons for his family after the election, right?
Right.
And so he's going to. There's no way he's stepping down. But he's going to release the delegates, and it's going to be a free for all in the convention.
Yeah.
But the gaslighting of America will continue because the gaslighting of America will be, it's just that Joe Biden is he can't do 4 years. It's not that he's not in charge now. And what needs to be done, I mean, we're entering a period now where people don't care about the next 2 months. So it's almost like, you know what, it's okay. Save the money, start the money, but begin begin the call though. What a bunch of tyrants locking up Trump. One of the issues got to be the threat to democracy are these tyrants who lied about the incompetent Joe Biden and who have locked up their political opponents. They're the threat to democracy. They're the threat to all of us because they want to destroy us by these ruinous destruction of the American middle class. The black the blacks who won't be allowed to get into the middle class, the Hispanics who won't be allowed to get into the middle class, the whites that are there now, the commie mommies, all being destroyed because these aristocrats think they know what's best because they're superior to us. They're better than us. They know that we don't need the Monroe Doctrine anymore. That we don't need to worry about Russians anymore, right? These fools who didn't even see 9/11 coming, who didn't even see the fall, the Berlin Wall. Screw them. And so that's what they should be doing. They should be talking about the gaslighting of America, make the gaslighting of America an issue because it is an issue. Because we just spent 4 years and a debate where they did nothing but gaslight America from the master of gaslighting, freaking Barack Hussein Obama.
Now, brother, I'm going to agree with you that they're going to lock Trump up. I agree that that's going to happen, but I don't think that, maybe this is part of the play, but I just want you to, I pulled up some of the opposition's major news channels, and here's CNN. They got their climate alarmism about hurricanes. The reason, and then they also have reason why NATO and Europe found the debate so alarming. So they're talking about that. And down here, what Trump said during the debate that has many Black Americans and Palestinians outraged, as well as what Representative Clyburn says Trump's black jobs remark meant to him. That's CNN, MSNBC. This was the worst Trump we've seen yet. Don't forget it. I don't know I don't know what debate they were watching, but that was, I thought, one of his best performances in the sense that he didn't, flip out and go after anybody. Not that, we should see that, but look, here he is. How Biden's shaky debate performance is playing in the rest of the world. There's no hiding it. Why Biden's debate performance may have been disqualifying. Here's ABC News. Will Trump stand trial in D.C. before the election? Down here, the Trump campaign memo signals plans to reduce national GOP platform. Talking down, and of course, you got Raskin. Democrats having a serious conversation about Biden debate. And lastly, poll after debate, higher numbers of voters don't think Biden should be running. So this is what's making, this isn't just made out of nowhere thinking, we're trying to understand what Democrats are doing. This is what the Democrat press is saying. This is what their mouthpieces are out there telling people. That's not, Newsmax. That's not MSNBC. I mean, that's not, Fox. And I mean, Fox isn't really, the best channel anyway. But you're not hearing it from Sean Hannity. That they're not hearing it from Mark Levin. That is from the left wing's mouthpiece. They are lining things up, still attacking Trump. Worst debate performance ever. Give me a break. Of Trump. The worst debate of anybody by Biden. They're not. It's clear they're lining it up to get rid of Biden and still attack Trump. And I do think that he's going to be locked up, just as like you said. So, do you have anything else to add, brother?
What do you want me to do? Do you want me to do Chevron, or do you want to finish, or do you want to Chevron and Vegano?
Let's hammer it out. We're at an hour and 11 minutes, but okay.
All right, so real quick. So Chevron came down. It's probably the most influential decision that's been in the last 40 years. For the last 40 years, there has been a horrific degradation of the court system, a horrific delegation of a failure to do your oath. So basically, they created a whole thing called administrative law. It's actually a law class that I had, right? So the way the system was designed by the founding fathers, they were going to divide power up, and so that everybody had to fight for against each other. They had an interest against each other to preserve their power, so that nobody would gain a lot of power and become a dictator, become a tyrant, right? And so that's how you have the three forms, the three parts of government. Nobody has all the power, right? You have the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. So along comes the idiot Supreme Court, and they create the Chevron doctrine, which says this: we're going to let, because Wilson comes in and FDR comes in, and they want to create this huge a leviathan called the federal government and destroy America and destroy American people, right? So they create that. Well, still some problems with it, because the judges would have to decide these cases, and they would violate everybody's rights. These agencies go out of control and decided they become little tin pot dictators themselves and want to take over and decide destroying. They go on a rampage to destroying America. So you can, whether you call it the Department of Education, the EPA, the ATF, anybody, that's what they do. So anyway, about 40 years ago, the courts in their stupidity said, well, we're going to defer to them. And so basically, they created a regime where you have a quasi-constitutional, there's no such thing, regime where you have a government, you create a government agency, they will then make a rule section where they're going to put it out to the public, and that's the democratic part of it, where the public can comment on it and nobody can do anything about it. And then they were going to create the rule, and that would be like a legislation, like a statute, and then it's going to be people go in front of these fake masters that are almost like judges, and that would be like a fake judiciary, right? And that they would give deference to this bullshit, right? And so basically, you would have the EPA coming in here and go, oh, you see that pond back there? We're going to turn that into a national waterway, even though it's a pond and it's not associated to anywhere near. If you're in the middle of the state of Pennsylvania, it's nowhere near Delaware. We're going to call it a pond, and now we're going to make you charge. We're going to charge you $1 million unless you do what we say, right? And so literally, that's supposed to be going on for the last 40 years. And the idiot courts and the despicable courts, because they have immunity and they don't deserve it, they violate everybody's rights to go, well, we're not going to do anything like that about that. We're not experts. We're a court. Jackass, your job is just to be the umpire. You're supposed to allow the poor citizen to come in there and go, you've got no statute to say that. Who the hell do you think you are? You can't take my property. You can't take that money from me. And that's what they're supposed to be doing. Well, this week in the case that just came down, the CHEVRON doctrine is now defunct, and it's been used. And I was shocked at this, like 18,000 times, 18,000 times in the last 40 years for the court system to deny doing their job by protecting the individual rights of American citizens, right? So now we're going to go back. Hopefully, we're going to go back to the way it should be. You can't have a government agency just making the crap up themselves and go, oh look, we're going to declare bump stops illegal. You're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. You're going to have to get somebody in Congress to pass, just like we used to see in the cartoon, make a bill. You got to get somebody to make a bill. You got to have some you get the president to sign off on it.
Schoolhouse Rock, brother. Schoolhouse
Rock.
Rock.
Do your work, right? And you're going to have to actually do your work. So that's huge. Jailhouse Rock is huge, right? So that's the way it's supposed to be, because that's part of it, though. So it might be that the imperial bureaucracy is dead, and that's the hope. The imperial bureaucracy is dead. The deep state is dead, because this is the power of the deep state. This is why it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, destroying it. And there's a truism, right? Probably the greatest president we have, Calvin Coolidge, had said the business of America is business. The reason why he said that is because and he came in and he did a melee on the federal government and he killed it, right? And he said the reason why I do that is because that gives him, meaning God, more room to maneuver, right? Freedom for the American people. And the truism is this: the bigger you make government, the littler you make human beings, right? The individual citizens. The bigger you make citizens, the littler you make government, right? It's an inverse relationship, a proportional relationship. It's an inverse relationship, and that's the way it works. So hopefully the imperial bureaucracy is getting a death blow now. That's the case with what they mean by overturning Chevron. Now, what that we still are stuck with, though, is the imperial judiciary, which needs to be killed. And the way you do that is by taking away the fake sovereign immunity they gave to themselves and to their friends in the government and their friends in the police departments, right? So you can take that away, and you can start suing. You can start going after a judge like Judge Merchant, who is completely corrupt and using his a position for political purposes and to advance his political party, and you start putting them in jail, and you start putting in jail the people, the judges, all the judges who put all those January 6th, because that's another case that came down there. A second case that came down there was great for us. Was it the Enron law? So back when Paul Krugman was the economist for the Enron, I don't know why anybody listens to that fool, because he's not a Nobel Prize winner for economics. There is no such thing. That's made up. They made that up afterwards, right? It's not a science like physics and chemistry, right? So anyway, that fool, when that fool was the Enron economist, Enron destroyed a lot when they were going. The government was going after Enron for defrauding all those people. Enron destroyed a lot of the paperwork. So they passed a law saying, you can't destroy government. You can't destroy when the government is investigating. You can't destroy the evidence, right? It kind of makes sense. Obstruction of evidence, obstruction of justice, right? That is actually the law that they're going after Trump with on 4 of the charges down in Florida, and the law they went after all the January 6ers after for that, right? They perverted that law. It's not a law. There's no law that actually applies to what happened on January 6th. That's why you give them their disorderly conduct, you give them a slap on the wrist, and you send them out. Instead, what did they do? They found them guilty and put them in jail for 20 years. And I'm a criminal defense attorney. 20 years is your second strike. Pervert statute, sexually molesting a child. Okay, that's what you get for that. 25 years you get for that. You don't get 20 years for disorderly conduct, right? That's absurd. That's criminal. That's a criminal abuse of the system by these judges, right? So they need to be locked up for that because they took that fake law. They took that law applied to apply to high-end businesses that trying to cover up their tracks when the government is investigating, and applied it to January 6th and to Trump. That also came back as a big slap down this week on that. But the greatest clap back of this week, which we have to talk about because it makes my I'm laughing my ass off at, is this week our bishop Archbishop Vigano was called to, last week we reported that Archbishop Vigano was called to Rome to be excommunicated because, of course, he gets because he's holding the Pope Francis accountable for some of the nonsense that Francis is doing. Saying, listen, we can't be blessing gay marriages. We can't having the Pachamama, which is a idol, an out and out evil Indian idol paraded around in Catholic churches, right? We can't do that. We're the Catholic Church, right? So anyway, they call him into Rome. Francis calls him into Rome to excommunicate him, while they're handing out, while they're handing out parts of Jesus to the evil Pelosi and Biden, while they're advocating the murdering of little babies, right? Vigano gets called to Rome to be excommunicated. So Vigano doesn't go. Instead, what he does is he looks back into canon law and says, "Oh, I got one for you." And he pulls out a statue, throws it down on the table. It's a bull from Pope Paul IV in 1555 that says, "Guess what? If you're a heretic, you're not a pope." And he lays out in great detail how Francis is a heretic, meaning the Pachamama. You're not allowed to have idols. You can't be parading idols. False idols in a Catholic churches, right? You can't be blessing homosexual unions, things like that. Lays out says, you know what? You're not a pope. The greatest clapback.
We're gonna be excommunicated too for supporting.
Why? I guess that we will. We won't be for. Well, we were going to be. That's going to happen sooner or later anyway because we're against abortion, right? And apparently the Catholic Church. Now, in defense of the Catholic Church, it's not going to. He's not. What he said, he can't be speaking infallible because it's actually been only used like 7 times. Yeah, 2 times in modern history, but in the past it's only been used 5 times before that, and it's always been used only to prevent schisms. But so God's going to step in, and Francis ain't doing too well. He better watch out because you get on, as one of my favorite, or we did a whole thing on, Pagnagne, refresh my memory. The Latin term for fighting against God, Dio. Pagnagne Dio, right? Fighting against God. From Gamaliel, from back in the Acts, from Acts. You can't fight against God. You fight against God, you're going to lose, right? And so, Francis, watch out, dude. Pagnagne, I got to remember that. Dio, I got to look that up again. It was a great segment that we done. Fighting against God, and that's what we see to wrap it all up. That's what we see happening today at the debate. One of the prayers is God, let your enemies be broke. Let your enemies be broken by disagreement. Because if you're evil, eventually that's what happens. That's why the enemies turn on each other. That's why criminals turn on each other. That's why evil turns on each other and always winds up eating each other. And that's why I feel sorry for these sinners out there, these people who believe this nonsense like Chuck and stuff like this. You don't understand. You're working for the devil. You're working for the wrong side. Eventually, this is the way it's all going to end, right? You're all going to be chewing at each other like that. Your Father, forgive us for our sins. We do not know what we're doing, right? And that's the case in this case. These are evil people doing evil things that they're going to have this come up. Sooner or later, the light comes down and shows you that you have a demented fool who's in charge, a corrupt, demented fool who's in charge. And sooner or later, the evil will be exposed of the press. Sooner or later, you win. Our side wins. In the end, we win. God wins. I read to the end of the book. We win.
All right. Any further comments, brother?
No, we're in there. We're at one. We're over. Well over.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick reminder. Please make sure you check out our website. In the links below, you will see that there are links to getting some of our shirts, getting some of our merch. Expect some new merch that's going to be coming up, such as we're going to be, I'll save it for next show. You'll have a chance to see it. Keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, going forward. Support the channel, support us. We will hope to see you soon, and it's all good, brother.
God loves you.
Because God loves you. We'll see you next time.
Communist infiltration, communist indoctrination, communist subversion, and the international communist conspiracy to sap and impurify.
I am the guardian of forever.
Are you afraid of me or just disgusted by my presence?
Before this battle is over, you all will know that few stood against many.
Let's have an equipment check. Weapon? Well, let's keep it simple. You got your boots on, you can walk into combat. Let's go.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Little girl, pull me to the left. Little boy, pull me to the right.